We just stepped on their face with a hobnail boot and broke their nose. The way to the end zone, and Georgia is going to conquer the Crimson Tide.
So how about them fucking dogs? That's what I told them.
Hope it didn't take that long again. Go Dogs.
What's going on, everybody? It is the 100 Sanford podcast. We are back in the building. It's your boy Lamar Lovelace, and I'm with Graham Coffee. I'm with Trigger Trays in the building, and Mr. George Foster. What's going on, fellas?
I'm in here. I'm ready. What's happening? What's up, fellas?
What's goody? I'm here.
Trigger Trey is in the building. What's up, Trey? What's going on, man? We missed you last week. I know you put out those banging edits, but you know what's going on?
Man, working, filming, all that together.
Hey, somebody got to do it.
All that.
Graham over there with the nice snacks and stuff. We over here hungry.
If y'all hear any background noise, it's just a little peanut butter and apples. I'll try to keep it quiet though.
Trying to keep it healthy, Graham? Trying to keep you sexy going on? You just got married a while ago.
My wife did the grocery shopping this week, so there's no Chex Mix, Pringles, nothing. I'm just working with what I got.
Oh yeah, we know where to go get the snacks from now.
I'm gonna send her a copy of this show, special delivery. Just you gonna put her on Front Street on the middle of the show?
No, she's trying to keep me alive.
Yeah. Hey,
despite my best efforts. That's right. No.
Man, look,
my wife is a saint. For the record.
Yeah,
you could have had celery.
That's right. With the little raisins on it.
Facts.
Man, don't do it.
Don't do that.
You know, she is a saint, and you know what? She has to be a saint because you know she went to Penn State, man. And if I can forgive her for doing that, it's all love. It's all love. It's all love.
She went to Penn State, but she doesn't like Penn State. She got out of there in 3 years. Tried to get out as quick as possible. So.
Nobody could. Hey, before we get going, man, I gotta ask G, man, George, what you listening to these days, man? Everybody asks about it on Twitter. You know, what's on the.
I listen to some of everything, man. I recently though, like I said, you saw me the other day say I recently checked out the new Lloyd Banks. And I think it's pretty good, man. I think he's back. He took some time off. You know what I mean? Probably still had good few G-Unit checks stacked up. So he was chilling. But now he seemed like he found the energy, found the love again for it. And he sounds good, man. It's always good to see people get, mature and still find joy in what they're doing. So it was good to see him back in the mix. And so I don't know what else I'm checking out, but I'll let y'all know, man.
Yeah,
always the classics though.
Yeah, a little Jadakiss on there.
Yeah,
Jada's still rocking. So yeah, Jadakiss on here. A lot of different people on there. Man, Jadakiss is top 5 dead or alive, man.
Whoa.
What? You don't think so, Graham? Top 5 dead or alive?
Top 5? No, not
top 5 dead or alive, man. He's giving people bars.
I mean, I got respect for him. I'm not trying to dog him. Top 5 so far.
See, people didn't know we're bringing it a little bit different on 100 Sanford podcast this year. Now we got music. Next week we're going to have art. Trey going to be showing us some art. I don't know what's going on, but hey,
that's right.
It is what it is.
Trey's going to be teaching film classes on Twitter.
We're a well-rounded group.
Yeah, and as soon as we get this, this video cracking a couple weeks before the season starts, they're going to see, our sexy Graham. That's probably why you're eating apples and peanut butter now, trying to get your sexy on.
Yeah, trying to get those gains, bro,
I feel you. Try to get my beard right, man. Try to have the James Harden out here.
That's why you don't have the camera on. You're trying to
wait to blow out
the beard, huh?
You want to blow that out?
Yeah, man. I got to pick that out and everything, man. I'm trying to get the James Harden.
That's right. I mean, we're only like 40 days away from kickoff, man. We gotta get looking good, get some new shoes, get your outfits ready for game day.
I got a new joint. I got this little camouflage joint the other day.
The Kimmel hat.
Yeah, man, I had to get that one.
I just had to trash the Georgia hat. I gotta get me a new fresh one for the season.
Yeah, I'm waiting for all the new gear to come out. They haven't released it yet. I messaged Josh Brooks to find out when they were going to release the new gear. I guess it's coming out in August.
Definitely need some new gear. Right. They need to hook me up. I'm raggedy right now.
Yeah,
that's bought me a little Georgia bucket hat, man, in the summertime, man. But you know, it don't be working for me because I got like a fro, so you know. Yeah, I gotta talk.
That's what I need. I really need a bucket. I love them buckets, man. I got several NFL buckets. Like if you've cut me a check, I got your bucket hat. And so I switched them up, and that's some good stuff for the summertime.
Yeah, he might need George might need to go ahead DM me that cash. I'm talking about bucket hats. Yeah, I need that.
I need some bucket hats too. So I don't know.
Fanatics, man, go on Fanatics and use our discount.
That is true.
I'll send it to you. I'll send you the discount. I can't remember we haven't put it.
I actually got one from the NFL. So it depends on if the 100 Sanford is more.
Yeah, I don't know. You still got your NFL card?
Yeah, we get. I just found out the other day about it. We get a Fanatics discount. I didn't even know.
Yeah, man, you guys get a lot of stuff. I used to kick it with my one guy. He played for Virginia Tech, but he also played for the Texans. And we used to go places, and I was like, man, I got it. And he's like, nah, man, you don't understand. I got this discount. He just flashed that card, man. We get into places free all over Houston. It was crazy.
Yes, sir.
Hey, before we go any further, the 100 Sanford podcast is powered by the Roll Up Network and our sponsor, Gramco, the Delta 8 company based out of Florida, founded by college football junkies just like you and I. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Delta 8, but you need to be. Gramco is the absolute leader in this field. They got some phenomenal products that you just have to try, and I just had to tell you about. Wake and bake coffee, gummies, vapes, and more. Simply the best on the market. Go over to thegramco.com right now and use the promo code Sanford25 and you'll get 25% off your order. No medical card is needed. Shipping is quick and discreet, but you must be 21 or older to order. Try them today. That's thegramco.com, THEGRAMCO.com, using Sanford25 as the promo code. I promise you, you won't be disappointed. But hey, man, let's get into it, man. It's been a big week for Georgia. It's been a big week for the SEC. Obviously, the biggest going into the last few days has been SEC Media Day. I wanted to kind of get right into that in terms of some of the thoughts that you guys might have had. Let's get right into Sankey because he was the first one to start off Media Day. You know, he talked about the SEC's not interested in expanding past Texas and Oklahoma. What are your thoughts, Graham, George?
I wasn't
Trey?
Exactly what he said.
It was a roundabout way, but I understand what you're going to say. Go ahead, hit it.
Well, he said he said we want to stay in the southeastern region. And he was like, all of our states connect to each other. So I thought he was throwing a little bit of shade at the Big Ten for having kids fly 2,800 miles to play a volleyball match or something. But I mean, you got to look at it, right? Like the SEC, if they go out and say, yeah, we want Clemson and Florida State or UNC or whoever, like publicly, that's a big lawsuit waiting to happen. So, I mean, they just kind of have to carry it quietly while waiting for whatever to happen in the ACC to happen. But I do think that I thought what came through the loudest from my perspective personally was just like, if the SEC is going to expand, it's going to be within the geographic footprint that it's already in, like bringing in a Florida State or maybe scooting up into Virginia or something like that, or North Carolina. But you're not going to see the SEC trying to go out and add like Oregon or Arizona State or something crazy like that.
You know what? Let me 1 second, George. Let me rephrase that. He said, as of now, quote, as of now. So there you go. Go ahead, G.
No, I was saying that I didn't see what Sankey said. I didn't see his press conference, but along those lines of what Graham said, that makes the most sense. Like, I don't like it's the Southeastern Conference. It literally has a name. like if you want to call it something else, and then that's fine. That's cool. If we just want to call it Big Boy Football Conference, then hey, invite everybody. But if it's going to remain the Southeastern Football Conference, the Southeastern Conference, then make sure the teams are primarily in the Southeast or at least close by.
What you got, Trey?
Basically what George and Graham said, like it literally says Southeastern Conference, like literally. If you want to add team, it needs to be within the South, like Florida State, hell, even South Florida, the South Florida Bulls, even them, because they in Florida, FAU, stuff like that. It literally needs to be the South, like just South teams. Not going too far, like Graham said, go to Cali and just, or Oregon, Washington, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Even New York. You playing in New York. It's crazy.
Yeah. And I agree. I mean, I agree with what everybody said, quite honestly. I think that another underlying statement, like Graham said, he threw a little shade at the Big Ten, but at the same time, they're in a position of power. They ain't got to move. You're the big dog. You don't have to do anything until anything has to be done. And you're big enough that you can go in and snatch anybody's team out if you really wanted to. I mean, quite honestly, they can go into the Big Ten, the ACC, it doesn't matter who it is. If they wanted Notre Dame, they can make a play for Notre Dame if that was the case. Right now, I think they're standing pat. They understand they got two other big dogs getting ready to come in. You got Oklahoma. You're stretching that recruiting base out towards Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana area. You got Texas coming in. They're recruiting at a high level. They're going to be back to playing at a high level. Hopefully by 25, 26, there'll be a lot more competition. So you don't have to do anything. I think one of the other things too is that by that time, you're going to see a lot of stuff shake out with NIL. I mean, I know we'll probably get a little bit into that, but you'll see some stuff shake out with that. That's going to, possibly change the landscape of things. But another thing that he did mention was that the 18 college football playoff, he said it wasn't going to fly. What are your thoughts on that?
What was his reasoning? Like, I'm not, that's above my pay grade. And so I don't get paid anything. So it's a lot. It's way above my pay grade. So I don't understand the technicalities of why not a bigger playoff. I'm open to listen. From my fan perspective, I'm a fan now. So hell yeah, I want. Hey, give me a 32 team play. I don't care. It's more football. You know what I mean? So, but I would listen to why, and I don't know if it's been explained to me yet why expansion isn't a good idea, or what would be the drawbacks to expansion.
So, I mean, I think it all comes down to devaluing the regular season, right? Like, that's what makes college football the most unique, in my opinion, is that one bad day can cost you a national championship, even in the 4-team format. Yes, like, it's more likely now that there's 4 teams instead of 2 with the BCS that you can lose a game and still get in and have a shot to go win a title. But we've never seen anybody lose 2 games and get into the playoff, right? So I think, like, to me, that's what makes college football so intriguing, is that the entire regular season feels like a single elimination tournament in many ways. And that, is what I think drives a lot of the viewership mid-season. Whereas with a sport like college basketball, the NCAA tournament is great. I love watching it, but I don't pay attention to college basketball until March. And I think that, college football is always going to be different because there's only, 12 games in a regular season. So, there's not as much product to saturate the market, but I still think at the end of the day, like, if you go too far in the direction of a 12-team or a 16-team playoff, like Alabama and Georgia are in that every year, right? even if they go 9-3 in the regular season, like
Could be.
they're in that, right? So, I mean, I do think like, which as a Georgia fan, maybe I agree with it, but as a college football fan, I think it's a double-edged sword, because the flip side is that maybe there's more people paying attention to the sport in the month of November. If there's 12 teams getting into the playoff, that means there's more fan bases who are still alive for a national championship. I mean, like a Mississippi State Ole Miss Egg Bowl with a playoff spot on the line would be really intriguing to watch. But
like who don't want that though? Like there's like
so I don't like, truthfully.
Why?
Because like I love those games, those 3:30 games on CBS, like you played in many of, Georgia and Auburn, right? Where it's late in the season and maybe one team's 8-0 or 9-0 and the other one's 8-1. And it feels like the entire world is on the line, and it's close game going into the fourth quarter. And it feels like one play at that point could determine whether or not you have a chance to play for a national championship. I think that is what makes college football extremely unique. And it's why I get up and I watch 16 hours of college football every Saturday, because there's only 15 Saturdays of college football in the fall. And, and if you miss anything, you might miss the moment that causes an Ohio State to be out on a national title because they slipped up and lost on the road at Iowa or something like that. And I think if we get to 12 teams, then if we're doing this by committee and the committee picks who the best teams are, like I can look at the recruiting rankings and tell you who the best 4 or 5 teams are every year, like Georgia and Ohio State and Alabama and, maybe one or two others. They're basically in the playoff every year, barring total disaster, which it is what it is. But I think it devalues the regular season. I think it changes what makes college football special.
See, I think it's a mixed bag, Grant. I mean, for me,
Sure.
I understand what you're talking about, the nostalgia, the pageantry. I mean, it does mean something to you when you're watching those games. My only problem would be, you got these mega conferences getting ready to be built. You got the Big Ten, they're going to have 25 teams, 30 teams, however many teams they got. If you have these conference champions that get in, let's say you have a mega conference in the Big Ten. Let's say you got the SEC. But I think maybe what Sankey's coming from is, well, now you got a watered down ACC. You got a watered down Pac-12. You got a watered down Big 12. These guys maybe did not even play a competitive schedule. No way they could have, because all the big dogs are in 2 conferences. I think something would have to be done. I'm not against them expanding the playoffs as long as you got the best teams playing. No doubt about it. And if it happens to be a 9-3 Ole Miss versus, a 9-3 Auburn, and both of those teams get in, so be it. Those are the best teams, right? I just don't want to see anything where all of a sudden Air Force wins out there in the MAC or whatever they call themselves out there, the Midwestern Conference, and they're
Mountain
in the
West.
playoff. Mountain West. Yeah, you should know. You watch 15 hours of college football.
I'm out here, bro.
That's right.
I'm
You're
in
out
it.
there.
I'm out in the Mountain West.
Right.
Hey, that Air Force and Army game be spitting while y'all playing. Them boys be getting after it.
It's fire.
Right.
No doubt about it. But it's different than
triple,
college
baby.
basketball, right? College basketball, the competition is a little bit more sparse, right? You got competition in all different pockets of the U.S. and where guys can actually get out and get it. College football, you don't really have that. The big dogs are going to be the big dogs, and I think that's my only problem.
So why do we need I don't need a 12-team playoff to tell me that Georgia is going to smash Pittsburgh, or whoever.
But why not? But what? But
I think 8.
But you
8
get that
playoff would be fine.
Yeah, 8 would be fine. But like
I'm
we
fine
know,
with that.
we know number 8. Number 12. Number 12 don't have a shot. Number 12 don't have a shot. Number 8 may have a shot for an upset in round 1 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, not number 8. Number 5.
Number 6.
Number 5. Yeah, yes. You know what I mean? They might have a chance for an upset in the first round. But like, we know they're not gonna win it all, but who cares? I want to watch some good meaningful, football. Like we stuck with this in the NBA all the time. The sub 500 teams getting in the playoff, and we watch it.
And they be going, and that 18 be going crazy on that number one seed. You might catch them get a game or two in and stuff like that.
You might have the Warriors take out the Mavericks like in 2004 or whatever that was. But
like just imagine Bryce Young gets hurt. I don't wish that on that kid.
Sure.
And at all. Wonderful kid. They might. I'm not saying Cincinnati beats them, but it could get a little scary.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Upset alert.
You just never know. It could be some good football in the 18 playoffs.
But you just said you want to watch meaningful football. Right now, we get to watch 3 months of meaningful football in the regular season because every game is an elimination game, more or less.
Correct.
So I don't want to trade 3 months of meaningful games for, a small handful of meaningful games at the end of the year between 8, 12, 16 teams, whatever it is. I feel like we're actually getting less meaningful football at that point.
Well, I think, Graham, the only thing that would make it meaningful then would be a conference champion, but we don't want those other teams in when it comes down to it. I mean, there's no way you can get to 8 teams or 12 teams with conference champions and it actually be meaningful. Outside of Cincinnati, nobody else is really going to be able to ball.
You get 8 teams, you still gonna have to win 10 games.
3 games.
You can find. You still gonna have to win 10 games.
And then
but if they're competent,
that's
I think
those
8
are not
is
bad
the tipping
teams.
point.
You still gonna have to. 8 is the tipping point. I'll give you that much. You know what I'm saying? And you still gonna have to win 10 games, 9 minimum. You know what I mean? So
and maybe you go win like an SEC championship, and upset.
And it'd be a lot of teams that have say we would have did. Only reason I said 8 because I'm trying to figure out what year that was when Georgia and Bama had that great game and we had 2 losses. I forgot what team got it. I think it was Notre Dame. Notre Dame got number 4. I think it was Notre Dame.
Oh, you're talking about 2018.
He's 18.
Yeah.
Yes, and Notre Dame got blasted by Clemson, and I mean blasted. That's why I think they should expand the playoff for that reason right there. Because it's a lot of 2-loss teams that be better than some of these teams that be undefeated.
George said in the beginning of this conversation, you said no one has explained to you why we haven't seen the playoff expand yet, right?
No one has explained to me essentially that, but kind of like why it would be a bad idea.
Gotcha. Okay. So we just had that conversation, but I mean, I think from a practical standpoint, the reason, because I mean, they proposed a 12-team playoff and it didn't pass. And I believe the reason why it didn't pass is because, Sankey and some of these other guys, they wanted it to be an open field, basically. Like, maybe your Power 5 teams get the Power 5 conference champions get in, and then you have 7 at-large spots. And the SEC, doesn't want there to be a limit on how many at-large spots can come from each conference, because Greg Sankey's sitting there and he's like, I can get 4 teams into the playoff every year. We can make a boatload of money from all those playoff shares. The playoff teams get these huge $20 million payouts that are split among the conference. 4 of those is $80 million to split among my conference every year. And the ACC and the Pac-12 and, the Big 12 are like, no, we need to have basically an equivalent share of the playoff bids. And so now you're in a spot where, with all this realignment stuff, I mean, they really lost an opportunity, right? Like, they might not ever have the opportunity to be auto bidded into the playoff again, the Big 12 or I'm sorry, the Pac-12. I mean, like, it just depends on how it plays out. So hindsight's 2020, I feel like, but I bet a lot of those conference commissioners would take that deal now if they had the chance.
That's facts. Well, one of the last major things that Sankey talked about was something that Lane Kiffin also touched on, that all the coaches had to touch on, which was NIL. And, Sankey said, he wanted the United States Congress to work on developing a federal legislation on name, image, and likeness, rules across the board. But then you got Lane who came in, and Lane said all they did was legalize cheating, which is hilarious. He's not wrong in a sense, but it's funny that everybody had their own comments on NIL. What are your thoughts on some of the comments that were made by various coaches in terms of NILs, and even Kirby, when Kirby talked about UGA and how they've handled NIL and responsibly. I think that was kind of like a little dig also at a couple different schools, but he just didn't want to say their names. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I think if your plan for dealing with something is for Congress to deal with it for you, then you don't have a plan. That's a universal rule for me across all arenas of life, not just college sports.
That's true, man. Wow, that was very introspective, bro.
Thank you.
It's Lane Kiffin. Come on, man. Let's keep it 100. Lane Kiffin. Like who expects Lane Kiffin to get in front of a mic and not say some wild shit? You know what I mean? Like let's keep it.
Don't ever change Lane. Please don't. Please.
You know what I mean? And I get a kick out of it. Do not get it twisted. But I also don't take Lane Kiffin seriously. Like it's Lane Kiffin. So, you know what I'm saying? You didn't legalize cheating. You got like a guy can get paid for being who he is. Like he gets paid for being Lane Kiffin. He don't get paid for being this astronomically great coach. You know what I'm saying? He's talented. You know what I'm saying? He won shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? He's very talented. You know what I mean? Ain't one jack. You know what I mean? Nothing that he could put his thumbprint on. You know what I mean? So I just take what he says with a grain of salt. You know, he gets paid for being Lane Kiffin. Let these kids get paid for being who they are. And like it ain't like it's coming out of the school pocket. Like just like all it is making it you're taking away the opportunity for these kids to be punished for something that they should never have been punished for in the past. You know what I mean? Todd Gurley should have never been suspended those games. AJ Green should have never been suspended those games. Like ever. Like for no reason. Like they literally sold their property. Like, you know, I'm gonna keep it 100. I used to sell I've sold jerseys before. We had this particular pawn shop on Lexington, I think, in Athens, that we used to go and they would buy our jersey, the jersey that we were given after the season, not during the season when it's the team's property. After the season, when the season over, they say you get this jersey. I think we used to be able to get and I think it was like our bowl game jersey. And I'll tell y'all the sweet story about getting my Peach Bowl jersey back one day. You know what I'm saying? Whenever y'all want to hear. But I sold that my freshman year, and I got it back maybe like 2 years ago randomly. That mug was in Houston.
No way.
Dang.
It's a sweet story. I'll let y'all hear it whenever y'all want to hear it. But but then, you know, snitching started happening. So kids that did what we did years after we did, they started getting in trouble for it. And I think that's just whack. You know what I mean? It's NIL is righting a lot of wrongs. That's what it is. And if it causes a little bit of chaos, so bring on the chaos. You get, I don't know what Sankey makes. You get paid a lot of money to figure out how to fix whatever they need to fix. Who's the head of NCAA? Whoever it is, they get paid a lot of money to fix whatever it is they say is wrong with NIL. Whatever these compliance people at these schools, they get paid. You know, now it's a pain. Like I've heard, you know, compliance people say that it's haywire now. But hey, you got to work at some point.
Yeah.
like they give you a check, man. Just, you know, buckle up and figure it out.
See, I think they just don't want to deal with the smoke. I mean, there's a lot of things going on. And when you got teams like, and I understand what Lane's talking about, really all Lane's talking about is Texas A&M. Let's just be honest.
And
Miami,
Texas
and
A&M,
and Texas.
Right. He's talking about a few schools that are really using their financial power. I mean, basically, they've had ammunition piled up for a long time, waiting for this opportunity and waiting for this moment. Because I'll be honest with you. Let's just be real. Like George said, we keep it in 100 on the 100 Sanford podcast. Miami was doing this years ago. They couldn't wait to get back into bed with NIL to be able to pay people.
Yeah.
And the school not really can take their hands off the wheel and say, okay, yeah, go do what you do. But at the same time, is there a competitive balance? And I think that's where Kirby comes in. And Kirby says, you know what, this does upset competitive balance when people are being given NIL deals, quote, and people aren't really being given those deals. They're signing their name on those deals, but they're not capitalizing on those deals at all. And we see that happening across the board. That's the issue.
So there's two things. One,
what do you mean? Somebody not living up to a paycheck?
Yeah, that's what
somebody.
we're hearing.
Well, no, someone
that
not living up to the promise and providing that paycheck.
Exactly.
Providing. You talking about the people?
I'm talking about kids getting tricked into deals and never
they need to be
money for it.
Well, that's the part that needs to be vetted. Leave the kids out of this.
That's what I think. That's what they're saying.
Vet that part. Make sure people are doing what they said they're going to do with these kids. And but I don't think that's, at least from my perspective, I don't think that's what's been being looked at. Mm-hmm. You know, and I know the general public doesn't really matter, but I don't think the average person understands that maybe that's what some of these coaches are talking about. Because to me, it sounds like they're just whining.
No, to a certain extent, they definitely are. I mean, but what I see this as is NIL. It's 100% legal for Christopher Smith, for example, who is already a football player at the University of Georgia, to make money off of his name. And Kirby said today, there's 95 guys on Georgia's roster that have NIL deals. That means there's walk-ons,
scholarships, and walk-ons making NIL.
Yeah,
my boy D. Jackson, walk-on, get paid.
He said one of them has a dad who is on dialysis, and the kid is using NIL money to pay for dad's kidney dialysis. I think that's a beautiful, wonderful thing.
How is that not a great thing?
That's a wonderful
thing. It is. But I think what's happening, there's that side of NIL, but NIL is not supposed to be a inducement. You're not supposed to be allowed to offer a kid X amount of dollars to come to your school. The way it's supposed to work is
that's fair.
Or even just
and so what's happening
just to hit the portal type.
Yeah, what's happening is that a lot of schools, a few, Texas A&M, Texas, Miami, Tennessee just gave a 17-year-old quarterback $8 million allegedly. Does he ever see it? We'll see. But these schools are throwing around really big numbers for 4- and 5-star recruits. And then, Texas A&M just got a bunch of kids on campus doing this. And it sounds like some of them are already pissed off and ready to maybe go somewhere else, because it sounds like some promises aren't being delivered on. So you have kids that are going to their 3rd or 4th choice school because that school was the highest bidder, even though there's not supposed to be any bidding happening at all. And then what's the shittiest part, in my opinion, is they get there and that money is not even being furnished to them. So they've made a choice to enroll at a school, lost a year of their, development and career at that school at least, and they're not seeing the dollars they're supposed to. So that's dirty. And I think that's what needs to be policed. It's not, I don't think anybody's trying to keep the money out of the kids' pockets. I think it's just how is it getting to them and why is it getting to them? That's the issue.
Now that I agree with it. Like, make everything be on the up and up, and then it's cool. Just that part I can agree with. Make sure the kids are getting what you said you were going to give them. I don't care what it is. Make sure they get it, and then everything is cool. If you're not, then that's a shady part of it.
Can we go back to the part where this man, that guy he going to Tennessee, right? He's getting really paid $8 million. That's more than some. That's more than some college allegedly. That's more than some college coaches.
More than some NFL quarterbacks. Teddy Bridgewater ain't making $8 million, is he?
That's eight. We talking about $8 million for a 17-year-old kid. That's more than some of these college coaches make in 6-7 years. Well, not 6-7 years. In a year. That's salary.
Oh yeah. Most college coaches ain't making that. 99% of them not.
He's 17. He getting paid more than people that's on the scout team in the NFL.
Oh, easily.
Well,
all of them.
And what's kind of
he's getting paid. That's getting paid more than the majority of the league.
That's crazy. And we talking about a 17-year-old kid. That's crazy.
Now, mind you, though, if you want to look at it, though, when you look at his value,
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
He's going to get paid that when you look at the value.
If that's the case, come on, bro. If that's the case, it is what it is.
Just make sure you
give him that money you promised him. That whole $8 million. Make sure you give him that.
If he was Freddie Adu, I don't know if y'all remember that name.
I remember Freddie.
Oh yeah, Freddie Adu.
If y'all remember, if he was Freddie Adu, nobody would have an issue. But since he's entering a space where, historically, he can't make. You're not supposed to be making that money. Then it's a problem. But you got a 15-year-old kid. Like I don't know what Coco Gauff is making, but I bet she's making pretty good money. Being a teenager.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I don't get it. Like they just do the most when it comes to these young athletes, man. These young football athletes, and it's really weird.
It's a bubble though, right? I mean, NIL is new, and there's only there's a finite number of 5-star quarterbacks in a class, and right now, Tennessee decided the value of one of those guys was $8 million. Now, if he shows up on campus and he's not the guy that everyone hoped he would be, then the market will correct itself, and the next guy's not getting $8 million. So,
that's what I'm saying. It's all going to work out.
Yeah, it'll work itself out.
It's all going to work out. Like,
and I mean, what
like
happened for
years?
If you suppress wages, a black market occurs, and we saw that happen in college football for years and years with Bagman, and now the wages are not suppressed, and you're seeing a bubble, and that will pop and correct itself, and the truth will lie somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
But I don't think Congress is the one to solve the answer.
No.
How that work.
It's like the Ryan Leaf problem. The what's my man from Michigan State? The lineman went to the what is his name? Mike Mamula? What's his name? Tony Mandrich. Tony Mandrich. The Tony Mandrich problem. The Jamarcus Russell problem. There was a good episode of the Pivot they had the other day.
Excellent.
It's corrected itself now. There are no more of those contracts. Like the top pick. Like who was the top pick this year? Trayvon. Like he's not gonna get Sam Bradford money. He's not gonna get Matthew Stafford money because it doesn't exist anymore. The NFL decided to fix that. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, they did.
However, you know what I'm saying? And the players signed it. They probably should have left it on, but whatever happened, and it corrected itself. Nobody's getting $50 million to sign, then there's a number one pick anymore. It's gonna happen in college football. Like nobody, it's gonna work itself out, and I think people just freaked out for no reason.
Well, fellas, speaking of it correcting itself, I mean, Kirby did a good job of talking about how Georgia's handled it. They've allowed the market to play itself out the way it's supposed to play out. They've actually stayed out of it basically across the board. But During media day, I thought they were very composed. I thought they did a great job. I thought Kirby did a great job explaining the program, where the state of the program is currently. You had Nolan on. I thought the players did a fantastic job. You had Nolan on there. You had SVP. You had Stetson. I thought they represented the university quite well. And quite frankly, man, I don't know about y'all. Does Stetson got a little bit too much swag for y'all?
Oh, that boy swag on 1,000 right now. You can't tell him nothing.
Listen, you won't be able to tell me nothing either. I'm national championship winning quarterback. I'm a walk-on. I went to every level of school. Now I went to preschool, middle school, elementary school, high school, community college. I went to college, community college, college again. Won me a national championship. Going to get me some nice, sweet NIL deal before I ride off into the sun as a law student or a accountant. I'm going to act a fool this year.
Well, you know what's funny that you said that, because Greg McElroy, right? I don't know if you saw this. Graham, you see it when Greg McElroy talked about Stetson Bennett and everybody needs to get off his back and he's Georgia's quarterback. I mean, really? You didn't see that?
But he's right.
Yeah, you didn't see that clip. It was like about a minute and 20-second clip. It's been going on Twitter like crazy, where he actually basically said, look, Georgia fans need to rise up and let this kid be who he's supposed to be. And what made me think about it was his overall swag, right? Like, honestly, if I'm a player and my quarterback comes in with that much swag, he comes in with that much confidence. I don't care if he's 4'2" or 6'10", and he's got that much swag and he's ready to lead you. Man, I'm ready to go right behind him. And it seems like this team is ready to rock right behind him this year. We're the only ones that are holding him back as fans, not him.
And the team seems like they're with him.
Exactly.
The team seems like they're with him. Like, when the guys talk about, you can tell when the players don't believe in their teammates or they don't believe in coaches. Like, I don't know what it was. One of the players in the summer league the other day, they asked him a Doc Rivers question, I believe it was, and he was like, no, they asked him a Steve Nash question. And he was like, it is what it is. Like, that doesn't sound to me like he's a big Steve Nash fan. You know what I mean? When the guys talk about Stetson Bennett, they talk about him. Right. They love him, and they riding with him. And, you know, they know better than any of us what they're dealing with that quarterback. And he's won for them. You know what I mean? So, like, you can't help but love him. And the guy plays with confidence no matter what. I'm with him. Like, I had my questions early on. Sure. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure everyone did, because he would have wacky plays every now and then. But he always fought back, and it ended up with a championship. No matter how you slice it, he is in the history books, and he's going to be a beloved figure for Georgia football for a long time, forever.
Well, yeah. I want to read something to y'all, because you saying that, I was kind of thinking back, and I remember before the Florida game last year, there was all of the drama going on around Stetson, and Nolan Smith was the guy selected to meet with the media that week during practice.
I was just about to say that, Graham. I was just about to say that.
And he said, I want to say something about my quarterback, Stetson Bennett, the mailman. Y'all call him the weak point in our offense. I read all y'all's stuff. I know I'm not supposed to, but one thing about Stetson, he works. He's not worried about nobody. He's a blue-collar guy. And what I heard in that, when he was talking about this guy works, this guy's blue-collar, is that, you know, I don't know. Maybe there was somebody else, or, you know, maybe there were other options for that position that didn't work as hard as Stetson, or that Stetson outworked, you know. But whatever happened over the years and over the spring ball and the fall camp, and when he was on the scout team playing Baker Mayfield before the Rose Bowl, all of that built up equity. Like, he's won that locker room over. And honestly, I think the thing that I was going to say when we were talking about media days today, like, what was my biggest takeaway from going back and kind of looking at some of the quotes, like, Georgia, despite just winning a national championship, everyone's talking bad about their quarterback. Everyone's talking about this massive defensive regression that's coming because all these guys went to the NFL. People are still on the SEC network and everywhere else talking about how Alabama should have won the national title if two receivers weren't hurt. rarely does a defending champion ever get to come into the season and have a chip on their shoulder and play pissed. But like, I think if the mentality that was displayed today by Kirby and the three guys from the team that were there is indicative of the rest of the group, they're going to play with a chip on their shoulder and they're going to play pissed. And I think that's a massive advantage for them going into the season.
I think it was big, something Kirby said about, this is not Stetson related, but since we got on the chip on the shoulder topic, is that these guys, it's a lot of guys that are going to be asked to replace some very good guys that came before them. And you don't really usually get to have that. You know what I mean? It's guys that really want to show that they're taking over the position that was vacated by somebody great. And they want to do a great job of filling that position. And so I think that this team is in a unique position. One, nobody believes in them again, you know, even after winning the national championship. And you got a lot of guys that are out to prove something. And so you don't usually get that. And I think and then I think one thing they do have too is a very confident head coach. He's confident in what he's building, the depth that they've built, how they've recruited, and he's confident in what they do every day that is going to allow his team to be a great one. And so that's what gets me looking forward to this season.
You know, one thing that was cool for me, and it's basically what both of you guys are saying, but then it kind of goes back to Stetson because it was Nolan that they asked this question to. And Kirby was giving, Nolan all types of flowers, you know, the entire time that he was speaking, talking about his leadership. And I think his leadership speaks volumes, quite honestly, right now in Athens. He's the bona fide leader of the defense. He's the quasi leader of the team outside of Stetson. And I think his propping Stetson up gives Stetson even more credibility. But one thing that they asked about, they said, they asked about Ladd McConkey. And he said that Ladd and AD are just giving people fits. You know, they're flying past people. But what he talked about, he said, was the connection between Ladd, AD, and Stetson. He said, it's electric. He said, when they walk into the locker room, you can tell they got something going on. When they're outside of the locker room, they got something going on. I think fans need to be excited about that because, again, I think the main reason that people get upset about Stetson anyway is just he's not sexy, right? Let's just be honest. He's not a 5-star. He's not Matthew Stafford. He's not one of these guys that comes in with all the fanfare. He's a 5'11" quarterback that came out of nowhere and actually took the reins from JT Daniels, where everybody wanted him to be the sexy guy because he was a 5-star quarterback, right? It's all it's about. Because if he was anybody else, everybody would be saying this guy deserves a statue. So you might as well just ride him right now. I think it's going to be a fantastic year, quite honestly. Like Graham said, I think they're just coming in pissed off, really, because I think they want to prove a lot of people wrong. And they may even want to do it just to prove people wrong about Stetson. And if anybody who can use a chip on the shoulder, it's Kirby, right? He's going to push buttons, and you know how he likes to play the media and play his kids against the media so that they even think deeper about what did coach mean? What did coach say about that? So I'm looking forward to it with Stetson under center. And hopefully they develop some things behind him because if anything does happen, I like to see what the rest of the quarterback room does look like. And if any of these other guys can really step up into that type of leadership role moving forward. But
it's just cool to not have that question mark. Like, no matter how you slice it, it's a national championship winning QB, and you get them back. You know what I mean? So I think Kirby kind of alluded to that. Is like he wasn't in this position last year. So he's in a position now where he's earned the starting quarterback position. And now there's that type of stability there, at least, for this season. You got a guy that earned position and he's there from the beginning. Yeah. We didn't have that last year. We don't have that question mark. Like, we know what he is. And I think that's going to be even great for a guy like Monken. He knows exactly what he can do with Stetson from the rip. Like, he has that film stacked up. He knows what he can do. He knows what he can't do. He knows, like, okay, I could try this now. Some new stuff that, maybe I didn't have time to put in last year. Like, I think it's going to be a surprising season offensively for Georgia.
Yeah.
That's what McElroy was basically saying. I mean, he's like, come on, folks. Like, you got a national championship quarterback returning. Not many teams get a national championship returning quarterback that comes back under center. It doesn't happen. They usually end up
upperclassmen.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't really happen. Usually, if you got a national championship winning quarterback, he's a junior, he's probably out of there.
Facts.
Oh yeah, he gone to the league. He out.
Well, I mean, I did an article about this last week, actually, on kind of just the narratives around Georgia's offense. Because, I mean, a lot of teams are trying to negatively recruit Georgia at the wide receiver position right now, saying, like, they don't have a sophisticated passing game or they don't throw the ball much or whatever. If you look at the raw data, Georgia doesn't have a passing game problem or a wide receiver development problem. They have a margin of victory problem. They beat everyone they played so badly last year. Not everyone, but they beat a lot of teams on their schedule so badly last year that they weren't throwing the ball in the second half. So did they accumulate 1,000-yard receiver? No. But, like, in the first half of games last year, you go look at Stetson's quarterback rating, it's 20 points higher than Bryce Young's. He threw for about 120 yards less than Bryce Young, 25 touchdowns, 4 interceptions in first half of games, 67.6% completion. Like, and then in the second half of games,
on that thought, Graham, but wait,
when was the
first game Stetson started? That's an important factor too. Because Stetson didn't start 3 games. He didn't start 3 games.
Exactly. So, I mean, yeah, especially if you start accumulating, what might have happened if he played a full season. Like, is Stetson Bennett Bryce Young? No. Like, Bryce Young is an NFL prospect. But at the end of the day, we're not sitting here to talk about NFL draft stuff. We're talking about who can effectively run their team and run their offense and lead their team to – an opportunity to win another national title. And from every standpoint, whether that's intangible stuff or what the statistics say and the advanced statistics say, like, Stetson Bennett has shown that he can do it. And that getting back Kyrus Jackson healthy and Dominic Blaylock healthy and Eric Gilbert, there's
really, like, dude,
so many targets.
I was looking at the roster yesterday. Man, there's some funk out there at skill position, man. I'm just like,
there's some killers out there.
Like, for real, man.
Healthy, there's some killers out there.
Nobody's running with Arian Smith down the field.
Nobody.
Like, they don't make humans like that. He's a rare human. Like,
if Blaylock 100%, nobody expecting him because his freshman year, man, look, him and pitching was tearing up some shit in his freshman year. Oh my God.
Yes, he was. I'm telling you. And then you still got Rosemary, Jack Saint. You still got Ladd. Like nobody. Ladd still wide open. Like, come on, man.
Belichick coming for him soon. He declare. That's on Belichick board right now. He got the goggles on and everything, but Knoxley's waiting. I'm waiting for him to clear right on Instagram. Got it. Right. Got it. Notifications on. He waits.
Just wishes he played a little lacrosse, then he'd be the perfect New England Patriot.
He waits, boy.
And then, like we said in the chat the other day, man, they got 4 tight ends, man, that's gonna scare everyone.
Oh,
so it's like, come on, man. Like, it's college football. There are matchup problems across the board everywhere because it's college football. It's not. We're not talking about pro football. Most teams don't have enough to compete at a high level. That's most teams. And that's it might be if you're one of those teams that can't compete. Yeah, it's demoralizing. You have some fun if you're a football fan. You still watch the game. You'll be all right. Everybody's not going to compete for it all. There's a handful of teams. There's a handful of teams every year, and it still hasn't lessened the popularity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, Like you gotta be able to compete with the guys that Georgia has. Like on offense, I'm telling you, man, it's gonna be explosive.
Well,
I believe it. I definitely believe it because you got Reed, Brock, Darnell, Arian, and we haven't even got to the running backs yet. Kenny Mack is gonna have a field day the first game. I mean,
He's been my favorite running back since he got there. So that means including Zeus. He's been my favorite running back since he got there.
Oh yeah,
since his
when
first
I seen
year.
him do that dead leg on Arkansas State, I'm like, oh yeah, he got that Swift in him. He got that Swift in him.
I just always liked how he always moved forward. He showed more speed than I thought he had, and he was very good. Like I thought like when Sony first got to Georgia, he was really good split out, and we kind of got away from using him out there. McIntosh is like that. McIntosh is probably better than Sony was split out. Like
Better
He
hands.
runs routes like a slot receiver.
Oh yeah,
exactly. He's gonna be
angle
a problem.
routes. He be killing them.
Yeah, he's gonna be a problem in the slot. Like Georgia don't have any weaknesses on offense. We'll see what some of the young linemen do, but I don't see any weaknesses on that offense.
I think the old line actually came alive second part of the season because it might be we got to find a guard and stuff like that. But other than that, I think the offensive line is kind of solid. Center, tackles. I think we still solid at offensive line.
We did a lot more with less before. Trust
me. Yeah, the most consistent feedback I heard from people who watched practices this spring was that offensive line looked nasty and at times dominant, and that like they're gonna find their best five, and when they do, it's gonna be tough because they were really good in pass pro all year last year, despite losing. Tate Ratledge was by far the best guard in camp last year, and he goes down first series of the season. You got him coming back. You've got SVP a year older. You've got Broderick Jones and McClendon and all that. And one thing that's interesting, because like Alabama seems to be the preseason kind of favorite, the media favorite, but I went and watched Alabama's spring game, and they pulled Will Anderson out of that midway through the third quarter because he kept blowing everything up. And after the game, they asked him about it, and he was like, we don't have anyone who can block him. So we can't get any like work done and practice our execution as an offense when he's on the field. And you know where I didn't see that happen was when he was lined up against Broderick Jones and Warren McClendon in the second.
Oh yeah, they had that boy in hell. He was in cell.
Will Anderson's great. He's a phenomenal player, but like he's not like if that guy's not blowing up your offensive line, then I don't know if there's anybody in college football who is.
Yeah, so, he was kind of quiet in the Natty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was kind of quiet in the Natty. Don't mean he's not going to be a great player. He's going to be a top 10 pick. You know what I mean? But we got some dudes. Like recruiting is working. Like Broderick Jones, like you can see what he was going to be in high school. Like you just needed him to develop, and he got some meaningful snaps last year, and that experience can't be, there's a premium put on experience, and it's for a reason. Like my biggest jump, man, in all of my football was from freshman to sophomore year, and from my rookie year to my second year. Like it's a world of difference. Like so those young guys from last year on the offensive line, just wait till you see them this year. Like it's gonna be like it's almost like night and day.
Well, I tell you what, it better
that's
be.
That's how I feel about Ringo though. They're gonna have a crazy season.
Yeah, Ringo like cornerback. Some people say cornerback. I say quarterback. I say the hardest position on the field is quarterback, and a close second is cornerback. And he's getting a lot of experience, and and he's going to be even better, man. That's why, people that know football, they have him rated really high. You know what I mean? Because the size, the length, the speed, and he just consistently got better. And they know he's going to be coached up really well. It's the same way with like Bama DBs. They know Nick. That's Nick's wheelhouse. Mm-hmm. So they come to Bama to get DBs, whether it's safeties, cornerbacks. Like they always, go pretty high. You know what I mean? And they know the same thing from Kirby. Kirby played it at a high level, and he's coached it at a high level. You know what I mean? So they're in good hands in the secondary.
We didn't have a lot of DBs go first round, actually.
Yeah.
For the past since Kirby era, we didn't have a few DBs go first round. And I think Ringo is probably going to be the highest DB drafted in Kirby's era.
Yeah. And then you got Tyson, you got Stokes. I know
Baker.
I know Baker. I know people that didn't really think Stokes was that good of a DB coming out of high school.
He was a running back.
He was just really fast. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But he got there and he developed. And he played good as a rookie too.
Oh yeah, he played dominant as a rookie. To me, out of him and Patrick Surtain and Tyson and the guy from Cleveland, they was the best rookie corners.
Yeah, he did a bang out job when he got to Green Bay.
As Amir Alexander was out damn near most of the season. He was guarding some wide receiver ones. So like,
oh yeah, Stokes was definitely on some of the better receivers in the league, and he held his own to be a rookie. That's a tough position to be a rookie.
Scary Terry, Tyler was Lockett. Who else he was on? Even Tyson Campbell did good too. Tyson Campbell held his own. He had a little shaky in the first half of the season, but he got second half.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of that, fellas, I know you started talking about, what Alabama does. I mean, I hate to go with the elephant in the room because we do have to transition to this before the show is over for the night. But Alabama comes in and takes a big-time prospect away from Georgia, at least what most folks thought was going to be a big-time Georgia target, which is Justice Haynes. But at the same time, we get Troy Bowles, we get Jamal Jarrett this week. What are your thoughts on the recruiting haul? And actually, let's start with Haynes first. I mean, losing Haynes, I thought was a big one for a lot of UGA fans. But what are your thoughts on that?
Big W, because big W.
Losing him? Losing Haynes was a W?
Oh no! Oh, I thought you were talking about Troy. My bad. My bad.
Like I never really thought. I just never thought that we would get Justice. It just never seemed that way. And then you got a kid that I think he said, I think he tweeted something to the effect that just carving out my own path or something like that. Mm-hmm. And it's fine. Mm-hmm. He's a legacy guy, but some guys want to, carve out their own path. You don't want to follow.
Don't want to live in a family member spotlight or something like that.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Veron, he wasn't, a big time star at Georgia, but he's cemented and he had some big time plays in the history of Georgia football. And people there's always gonna be there. Going to Alabama, yes, the expectation is high, but you're gonna get the ball, and you're gonna have some guys blocking for you. So it's good for him, man. I think he's gonna do well. Great running back. As long as he has his head on straight, he's gonna do okay. But Georgia's gonna be fine too. I'll never be worried about Georgia and running backs. Like that doesn't even go together.
Ever. Yeah. Oh, and another thing I've been seeing some fans tweeting about that, like saying Dale McGee washed and stuff like that. Please, just please, sorry my language. Please shut the fuck up.
Like, really, like, come on, man.
Like, just like I'm gonna keep it all the way 100. Please shut the fuck up. If people don't know what Dale McGee, what his resume is, you're not a true Georgia fan. You don't him and I be saying some tweets about B Mac too. Like, bro, y'all don't know what them two guys' resume is. Like, just don't talk. Just don't talk at all.
Right.
You know, I gotta agree with you on that, man. Because I'll be honest. When they got Kenny Mack, which was interesting, because our guy Salt, right? We know Salt was talking about Kenny Mack the whole time he was being recruited. You got to wait till you see this kid, Kenny Mack. I think Kenny Mack's going to be the best out of all of them. And then all of a sudden, you see the development. You see,
look what he is.
Right. You see the talent that he was in high school, but it's the ability of Dale to recognize the type of running back that he's looking for him to fit the system. I'm a believer in Dale, and I'm a believer that if you put a running back behind all these 5 stars and 4 stars and great offensive line and great offensive line development, good running backs find the hole and get through the hole. I don't need a guy that's going to rush for 1,500 yards, 2,000, like people thought that Justin was going to do. You don't need it.
You don't even need that. You don't need that nowadays. You don't want that. And if I'm a running back, I don't want that. I want like
10 to 15 carries a game.
Look at my guy Gurley, man. I hate his career. You know, it just nosedive so fast. But it is, you know, the knees, man. Yeah. You know, it took a toll. How many carries
Gurley had one season at Georgia? I remember he had close to 2,000 yards.
And I'm gonna keep it funky. I'm an O-line, you know, apologist. I love O-line. It's the best position in football. But I'm gonna keep it 100. Gurley didn't have a lot blocking for him. He did a lot on his own.
That was a lot, yeah, because he did a lot on his own.
This is not
a lot of tackles on his own. A lot.
This is not to plug myself, but I was the first round lineman until Isaiah Wynn.
Yep.
Man.
Yep.
Like that
was
15
years.
15 years.
Right
like that's not good. No. If you recruit blue chip offensive linemen, you're gonna have high draft picks at some point. You know, every 3 years or so, you're gonna have high draft picks, just like Bama did. Bama always had a high draft tackle. Like it was always. Every 4 years, they had a highly rated or highly drafted offensive tackle. Sometimes 2. Then you add a guard like you had Warmack in there, stuff like that, and they just always did, and it showed up in their win column. You know what I mean? And so, like, you whatever we get nowadays at running back, he's gonna be living great because they're recruiting in the trenches heavily. That's the only thing. You know, my guy, I love Coach Rick. That's my dude. Yep. And that's the only thing. That's the only in hindsight. That's really the only thing he didn't do well. Recruit the trenches. You know what I mean?
People forget that Kirby had to start a transfer from Rhode Island at his first year.
Yeah. Catalina gave me a heart attack.
yeah, that was rough, man. It was rough. Damn near got Jacob Eason killed.
Yeah, he did. Ooh, Jacob Eason took some hits.
I think on the Haynes front, I mean, it happens. It's recruiting. You know, Georgia and Alabama are kind of the 2 top dogs. Not kind of, they are the 2 top dogs right now.
In the running back category, they are the 2 top dogs because if you look in the NFL, it's either Alabama running back or Georgia.
Totally.
You might see Wisconsin somewhere in there, you know.
But at the end of the day, it's just like you're going to get in battles. Georgia and Alabama are going to get in recruiting battles, and they're going to go both ways. You know what I mean? Like it's not, you're not going to win 100% of those battles. But the thing that this staff has proven to me at every position, but particularly the running back position, is like this staff knows how to evaluate. And so
they do. They
saw Andrew Paul was a 3-star running back. Was kind of the last guy that Georgia took in the 2022 class. You're already hearing buzz about him
Baller.
impressing folks.
Ball. Oh, another one. I'm glad you
Just
said
showed
that.
up on campus.
Look at Edwards. Edwards can go start
Edwards
for any college football team right now.
Exactly.
Any college
Like, I don't know
right
what
now.
people get caught up in stars and the next new thing. They got to realize that with this formula, with Kirby and Georgia now, it's not a bad thing. It's a blueprint with some wrinkles that has come from Alabama, and it's been built on depth. Like, so guys that they're getting guys that can fill out spots, and it's gonna work out. It's gonna be just fine. You know, those guys like Robinson, like that dude was a monster for Alabama. I love the way he ran.
Oh yeah, he ran hard, boy. He ran hard.
He wasn't the guy 2 years ago. You know what I mean?
He waited.
Like, yeah, he waited. Like, we're gonna have guys. Like, we can't get caught up in who we didn't get. Like, we're gonna always have guys, and guys gonna always want to go to Georgia. So if the cupboard starts getting bare, these running backs gonna look in that cupboard like, oh, I can fit in there.
Georgia will hit the portal.
We'll get another 5-star. Like,
that's how I feel about the wide receiver though when they were recruiting. When everybody went on, they came in late in the year. They picked up AD late in the year. They flipped him from Ole Miss. Look what he's doing.
Yeah, and he was a 3-star that no one really paid any attention.
I think Ladd wasn't even ranked at one point. Ladd wasn't even ranked.
I think Ladd came in as a 2-star.
And look what Ladd doing. Ladd and killed some. Ladd got a resume on him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that is a big reason why Jermaine Burton is at Alabama right now, because
I love. Hey, man, sorry how I'm about to say this, but I ain't gonna lie. Ladd committed slavery on that guy from Auburn. That was bad. That was first degree murder right there. That was bad. I forgot what tweet said. Somebody had posted a tweet. At least Ladd gave him a silver lip. Man, I was dying crying. Oh my God, that was funny.
Look, man.
I love guys that can get open, man. Like it was because when I had to evaluate NFL guys, you're not gonna out athlete everyone. You have to know how to get open, and like guys that got open, I just love watching them. Like, of course, Odell had all the physical attributes too, but man, he was an impossible single cover because separation was at a 10. Like if 10 was the top, nobody separated like Odell, and you see that kind of stuff from Ladd and AD. Like those guys have the ability to start, stop, slow down, decelerate, and all those things. And that's what you need at receiver. Like you don't need the biggest, fastest, strongest guy. You need the guys who know how to get open. And you're gonna win games with guys that know how to get open.
Well,
that's how I
think people forget a lot that Todd Monken was a wide receivers coach for a lot of his career. And so Brian McClendon is great and does a great job as well. But when Todd Monken got hired, I went back and I watched tape on a decade of Todd Monken offenses. And the thing that stood out in every single one is that all of the wide receivers did all of the little things right. There was so many little subtle things where a guy would run a route that would influence a defender to get the primary read open. Like there's a lot that those guys will do that a lot of people don't notice. But yeah, when it comes to Todd Monken and Brian McClendon, Georgia's going to find good receivers. But I guess to put a cherry on the Justice Haynes thing, the thing that I was going to say is just like when one door closes, other doors open. And I think Georgia's staff felt for a long time like Justice Haynes, was the guy, or that was the guy they were going to give attention to and focus on. But there are guys that Georgia is going after right now that, I think may not be on the radar of a lot of people, but are just as talented and, will make folks just as happy. So it's a long way till signing day. And it seems like every summer we have this period where people think that Kirby Smart has forgotten how to recruit. And then he flips a bunch of 4- and 5-star guys before signing day, and Georgia finishes in the top 3 recruiting inevitably. So I would say just
it's just crazy to be like people
Still
it's
doubt.
crazy to me sometimes that how they doubt and like running backs. Like there's precedent to seeing non-highly rated running backs be productive on every level. Like we in Denver, we blocked for several 1,000-yard running backs in a row. 2 of them were fullbacks the year before. like
It's crazy. It's crazy for real. It's crazy.
If you could block for them, you'll be fine.
Right. Well, I mean, here's the thing, though. You lose Justice, and I understand that, because a lot of people are caught up in the legacy thing. They're caught up in the he's a Georgia kid thing. But you go outside the state, and to end the week of recruiting, you get Troy Bowles, and you get Ja from North Carolina.
Jordan Davis 2.0.
Jordan Davis 2.0. But, I mean, if you go back and you look at Troy Bowles' tape, and Graham, you broke down some tape on him. He's explosive. He's a nightmare at linebacker, man.
Hey, Lamar, you know how Seam hit you with explosive? That's how Troy hit you. You feel it. It's explosive.
Yes.
Yeah,
I thought those were the 2 biggest pickups right now.
You go, Graham.
Well, I was just saying he's also really mature in coverage for a high school linebacker, and that's what impresses me a lot, especially with spread offenses being everywhere in football these days. Like an inside linebacker that can blitz off the edge, up the middle, in the A gap, but also is comfortable 15, 20 yards downfield. I mean, there's spots in his junior tape where he's baiting quarterbacks into throwing him pick sixes. Like that, I think that's a huge asset in this modern age of football.
What sticks out about the Bowles get is that you had to know that his dad was involved and had an opinion on it. And I don't know if he steered the kid one way or the other, but I'm pretty sure he put his opinion on the table to his son, and he felt, and it seems to me that he feels like his son would be in the best hands at Georgia. And that's a big thing. That's a big deal to me that I don't think most people may understand. Some people may not even pay attention to NFL football. Todd was the player. Todd's been a really great defensive coach in the NFL for a lot of years. I got a chance to be, in the building with Todd, doing some stuff with the Buccaneers a few years ago, and I think it's really getting Bowles. It really, to me, it's a testament to the UGA football staff. Of course, he's a great high school player. But to me, that's the first thing that stood out to me was that, wow, a man like Todd Bowles trusts the UGA staff with his baby boy. You know what I mean? And so that, to me, that's a big deal.
Yeah, I think the exact same way. And it kind of goes back to what Georgia's developing, right? I mean, Kirby's talked about developing an atmosphere of family, of trust, of development. You may not play right away, but you are going to be cultivated into a culture that is going to develop you the right way so that when it's time for you to play, I mean, heck, at this point, you can't leave until your junior year anyway. So if you're playing behind a superstar, and it kind of goes back to what you said, George, about the depth of Alabama. If you go back and look at those great Alabama teams, heck, even go back and look at those great Miami teams, those great USC teams. Guys didn't play for 3 years. They played maybe a year and a half maximum before they got their opportunity, but they were prepared, they were ready. And I think that a guy like Troy Bowles knows that, understands that by selecting Georgia, that he's going to get his shot to play. And when he gets his shot to play, he's going to be developed the right way. He's going to be cultivated the right way. And he's going to be prepared to play on game day.
And I know a guy that group he has now, I saw them when they were youngsters. Mm-hmm. Some of them were rookies. And to see where they are now is like that group is playing lights out. You know what I mean? He had to really work with those guys. So I'm pretty sure he's teaching his son in the same manner. And so that's going to be good. His son is bringing a lot of knowledge with him to UGA, and it might rub off on some other kids.
Yeah, especially with the leadership. And last but not least, you got Jaw Jarrett coming from North Carolina. I thought it's hilarious in terms of how he actually did his commitment. I don't know if anybody saw his Twitter where it showed up as a North Carolina. Yeah, man. Then it switched off to Georgia. But what really stuck out to me, though, was how North Carolina responded. You got coaches, and it's since been deleted off his Twitter, that a linebacker coach in
yeah, that was wild.
DC basically said, you know what, he's a kid that likes all the drama. He likes all the, the fanfare, whatever. He's not all that. Like, why are you recruiting a kid then?
How you gonna send your kid to that school when they trashing a hometown kid?
Right.
I thought that was amazing. That's a totally bad look across the board.
That's a bad move. That's not smart. Like, come on. Matt can't like that.
Nah, Mac Brown's smarter than that.
So how you want somebody on your staff that literally trash a kid for making a decision? Cause I seen him tweet saying like, "Oh, coaches, like some people showing their real true color." I didn't think none of it, but now I see what he was getting and why he did that commitment, because that right there.
Right.
And I guess he even got into it with Travis Shaw on the IG. I didn't see that, but I guess Travis Shaw. Yeah, man. I guess he kind of shot something back at him basically because he thought he was going to North Carolina as well, and he didn't. So a gain for Georgia.
Let's talk about the kid though. I'm gonna be honest. I had not, watched him. You know what I mean? I didn't know what the kid was about. So I clicked on his huddle yesterday. my Lord.
Yeah.
That is a big human. And what really stuck out to me, it looked like he was playing good disciplined football. He wasn't just getting in there trying to blow stuff up. And if they wanted him to two gap, he two gap. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? If they wanted him to one gap, you know what I'm saying? He one gap. He did, and he played hard. It's hard to, if you've never been in the 350 pound shoes, it's hard to go 100 miles an hour every play. But majority of them, he did that, and and you just know once he gets into the UGA strength conditioning program, he's going to take it to the next level, just like what happened with Jordan Davis. He had to do the same. He had to do the same thing. Get in that program, get his weight controlled, get more explosive, get even stronger.
Y'all know when Jordan Davis came out, I literally think him and Jordan Davis literally the same exact weight when he was coming out. Like everything.
They're close.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Jamal Jarrett ran a 12,200 meters at 360 pounds.
That's absurd. That's freakishly athletic.
Yeah.
At 360, that's freakishly athletic.
And like George said,
him down to 330.
Yeah, man.
It'll be
that's scary. That's scary.
Yeah, and like George said, getting back to the player, I mean, you get a kid that he's extremely disciplined, and to turn your back, but to leave your home state and to leave a home state school, and it shows that you have an agenda in hand. It shows that Georgia's doing something right. It shows that once he gets on that campus, he's going to be dedicated and willing to do whatever it takes to be that next level guy. And for him to even want to emulate his game like Jordan Davis, if he even comes close to what Jordan Davis became, he's going to be a heck of a ball player. But you're getting exceptional talent, a kid that he's explosive, he's strong already. Like George said, he gets in that strength and conditioning program. He might be able to give you something freshman year, depending on when he shows up at camp. I'm not sure if he's an early entry yet, but if he shows up early, it's going to be an opportunity for him to get on the field early, to make an impact, allow these guys, these edge guys, and these linebackers to make plays.
Everybody was mad that Justin left. I was glad we got him because, man, look, we about to be losing Jalen Carter soon. I'm glad we got him coming in. Like that was very important. Get him, very important.
And I think, like you say, he might be able to help out freshman year, because if you remember, I mean, a lot of people might not remember. Jordan helped out pretty early.
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did.
Rotation.
He helped out. He was in the
trenches.
rotation.
Yes, he did.
Yep, he was in the rotation early, and he stood out early. He was just really strong. Jordan was just really strong at the point of attack. That stood out to me when he was a young pup.
Agree.
And that D line was still good then because you had a lot of good people on that D line.
Yes, indeed. And he stood out.
Because you had Tyler Clark on there, Malik Harry, and you had because he was there when Zoe was there. David, yeah, you had a lot. That was a lot. That was a talented D line.
One thing you can't teach is size. So
yeah, you can't teach
I'm willing to bring that 6'4", 365-pound body in and get him in that
not even
conditioning.
6'4". That's 6'6". That's all 6'6".
Yeah, that's true. 6'6". And allow him to just do work. But fellas, we were supposed to have a guest, and we're not going to mention his name. He's probably going to show up next week. He's in the middle of working out, but he would be a guy that would benefit completely from a guy like Jared, no doubt about it, and that front four that can do the things that they do. But we're going to hold him off until next week. But does anybody got anything else they want to touch upon before we get up out of here? I know, Big G, you're doing some some taxiing right now, some Uber driving for the girls.
Yeah, I'm out here.
Girl day. Hey.
That, to the fullest. That's me all the time. But good show. Good talking to you guys. We still got some. I think the fellas know. We've been talking. On the side that we got some good stuff coming.
Some big names, some big transitions, some big things happening with the show. No doubt about it.
Yeah, some big stuff coming, man. So people got to stay tuned. Some really good guests.
Absolutely.
Again, it's the 20th anniversary of the 2002 SEC championship team. Who knows? You might hear from some of those people from that era. I'm one of them.
You just did, actually.
And what's funny, man, is that you say that. But I mean, I'm not going to mention some of the names that we do have coming up. But we got some soccer players that want to come on the show. I've gotten hit up. We got some softball players, some coaches from other sports that want to come on. I'm all for it, man. I'm willing to give these guys some pub and give the University of Georgia an athletic program completely across the board some pub, especially some people doing some great things, getting ready to transition their lives into professional sports. So, but we'll talk about that, fellas, off the air. But before we go, anybody else, anything else? Get it off your chest now, Graham. I know you've been eating peanut butter and apples. Get it off your chest now, baby.
I'm straight, dude. I said what I needed to say.
All right. Well, Trey, you get back to work on those edits. Big G, drive safely. And as always, folks, go Dogs.
See you
go Dogs.
Sanford.
See you at 100 Sanford. That's right, Graham.
Go Dogs.
We haven't said that in a while. See you at 100 Sanford.
We haven't. It's been we're still getting the rust off. It's been a long time.
See you at 100 Sanford.
Got knocked the rust off.
See y'all.
Thank you for listening to the 100 Sanford podcast. Tune in weekly to hear fresh content from the 100 Sanford podcast every Thursday, but also with some pop-up shows every now and then as news breaks. You can also follow the content on our website, www.100sanfordpodcast.com, and email us at dogs@100sanfordpodcast.com. Lastly, reach out to us on social media streams. For Twitter, it's at 100 Sanford, but on IG, TikTok, Facebook, and other accounts, it's 100 Sanford Podcast. All right, folks, that's it. And as usual, see you at 100 Sanford.